What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Passionate DJ Podcast. I'm your host, David Michael. I'm here with the whole crew, Tony, Trip, and Mo. How you doing, fellas?
What up?
Good to see you from across the interwebs. We have
Wu-Tang, yo!
rocking the Wu-Tang face masks, which doesn't sound ideal for the podcast, but looks pretty dope.
Yeah, because we all know that COVID is temporary, but Wu-Tang is forever.
Wait, Wu-Tang is forever.
Yeah. And like to give a shout out to, see, my damn mask my phone won't unlock with this damn mask.
That's awesome.
Denise Grubb. Yeah, Denise Grubb, spouse of one of our listeners, Donnie Grubb. She's the one that hooked these up. So shout out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. These are awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
And we have a special, special returning guest now, BitFlip, also known as Mark Naegel. Mark, welcome back to the Passionate DJ Podcast, buddy.
Yeah, dude. Stoked, excited. The last time was so much fun.
It really was, man. Episode 200, I think we kept on chatting and recording for 2 or 3 hours at least after that ended, just because everybody wanted to hang out, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I was really glad that you were able to participate, and I felt bad that it took us so long to get you on the show, and so one of the first things we did is, hey, reach out to Mark, make sure he replies to that email. We want to get him back on the show immediately and give you a proper episode. So yeah, it's great to have you, man.
Yeah, stoked to be doing it.
Maybe you can remind our audience just a little bit about who BitFlip is and what he does as a DJ, producer, artist, whatever you call yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I am BitFlip. Ta-da! I'm right here. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been DJing for about a little over 15 years now. Mainly spin breaks and garage and house. Run Freshlist. Ding. So we do a monthly down here in Cinci, and it's been going since 2014, 5 years, and then coming up on 6 in September. So that's just a little about me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but so now at 6 years, you're probably the longest running consecutive years, weekly or frequent show, correct?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I just kind of keep on doing my thing, but yeah. I mean,
yeah, that was good. I was just gonna say, 'cause, I mean, Jason and I, we've had those boat parties for since 2001 or 2 or something like that. But
right.
But I mean, we were consecutive for a long time, but then we've taken a lot of breaks in the last 10 years. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you guys have been grinding hard on the Freshlist thing for a long time. The time I got to come down and play with you guys, I mean, you guys just. It's not just a weekly or a monthly or any. It's not just a bunch of people coming together and throwing some music down. I mean, you guys put a whole lot of thought into it. It's not just about the artists or the DJs, but it's also local visual artists too, right? Painters and drawings and things like that.
Right. Yeah. So we have it's the whole concept is really the fusion of electronic music, culture, dancing, self-expression, and local and regional art. So our art director, Logan Walden, he was, me and him got together at the beginning of it, and that was an instrumental part, is that we stayed true to that original concept too. So, every time we do have a show, we feature somebody, we give them a gallery space, we give them an opportunity to sell what they have as well. So they just, take that home, and it's a good outlet to some people that they might not get to show to as well. So,
Logan is such a good artist.
He is so sick.
Yeah, I've actually bought a couple pieces for him. One sits in the living room, one's up in the bedroom. Yeah, he's got a really sick vision.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a massive painting on it's actually on a door. But it is huge. It's in my basement. Love it. My wife got it for me for my birthday a few years back, but it was just so sick.
Does Freshlist have a particular style or genre that it kind of centers around musically?
So initially, like when Freshlist first kind of came to be, it was like no rules, anything goes, just good dance music. And it's kind of evolved over time into more of like house breaks, drum and bass, not like I guess there's still not limits, but it's like kind of nestled in there. We have techno come through as well. We have, people play other things, but predominantly it's kind of like not like a pretentious underground focus, but a little bit more underground focus,
Sure. So you're not like you don't have like certain limits, like this isn't underground enough, we're not going to book you, but maybe you aim that direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like it's not like nose up in the air type pretentious feeling. And I guess like that's the whole thing is like you want to when you come to Freshlist, we want you to feel like as soon as you get there, like your energy level and just happiness in general just goes up. Like you're welcomed, you're there to just dance and chill and have a good time. No drama, and it's been that way, and that's the good part about it is we've like stayed consistent with that, like just good vibes, good time, always going to be reliably good music and good entertainment.
Do you let people play trance though?
I'm just gonna say that the infinite sunrise is coming. No.
Yes.
Does that mean you're gonna book me? That's my DJ name.
I know. Trans DJ name. You're in, dude. No, truthfully, we haven't had anybody play trance.
Just make sure you get extra security if you do.
Yeah. Oh, Mo, you'll be down, dog.
Yes. Got to get my medium shirt ready.
That's right.
Yep. Oh, we got you. We'll get you a Freshlist fresh medium. Ready to go, man.
Yeah, man.
Is that all one word? Fresh medium.
Give me a fresh medium. With Bitflip as a DJ, you mentioned breaks and was it drum and bass in house?
Breaks. Yeah, I mean like breaks, garage, house mainly. Yeah. And I mean I do play drum and bass too, just not very often.
Okay. So we talked a little bit on the phone the other day, just privately about like pre-show stuff, and you mentioned something about I asked you about breaks because that was kind of the first thing I read whenever I look Bitflip up is breaks and this and this and breaks and this and this. So I assume there's some kind of history there. But you said lately you've been doing a lot of house. Is there a reason for that shift, or is that's just what you're feeling lately, or what's that about?
Yeah. So I mean, really, beyond like genre limitations or whatever, I just play music that I just really believe in and like. And like it was funny. Like I play a lot of like funkier like new disco stuff and stuff like that at home, like disco vibe house is like I love that. It's just like feel good music. I really enjoy that a lot. But like when I first started DJing, I was trying to figure out like, hey, what do I want to play? I knew it was actually Afterlife was the first party I went to in Columbus, and Trip probably knows that one pretty well.
Oh yeah, I played that one. Yeah, I still actually have the that was, not to cut you off, but that was a really cool party because the promoter for the flyer did a bunch of passport photos or passport like these like crazy looking like passports for like crossing the river Styx or something crazy. Like it was actually a really cool concept. So I still have the digital file for that.
Was that the John Hennessy party? John Hennessy and what's his name? Matt White?
Yeah, Matt White, GSP. Yeah,
GSP.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah. I have that flyer too.
Dude,
that's right when I first came back from Florida.
It was one of the sickest flyers I've seen to this date, too. I 100% agree. And it like, if I remember correctly, it like folded out like multiple like.
It was like a passport book.
Yeah. It was sick. It was so sick. But so basically like origin story is went to that party, and at that point in time, I was like, I want to be a DJ. This is incredible. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And, like at that point, I didn't really know a whole lot about electronic music. I mean, I didn't like understand the scene, I guess. I knew electronic music a little bit, like Paul Oakenfold and like trance and earlier 2000s garage stuff like Artful Dodger, and listened to a lot of like Ministry of Sound mixes from that period of time, and just like a lot of Florida breaks. I listened to like a lot of Baby Ann and Icy and all that. And so yeah, when I first started DJing, I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to play, and Cincinnati was like really saturated with drum and bass DJs at the time, and I loved drum and bass at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play drum and bass. This is gonna be so dope. And my friend, he was like, hey, why don't you try out breaks? Like, I think you'll really like breaks. So I was DJing on vinyl. I didn't have like infinite money or, pirated downloads to insatiate my DJ skills. So like, I started buying breaks records, and I like really enjoyed playing breaks. So that's kind of like how I got into it. And like originally, actually, Heather Garver, Beat Poet from Cincinnati, like I saw her play a show one time, and she was playing like kind of like funkier breaks. I was just like, what? This is so sick. Like house with a lot of like funky guitar riffs and like kind of walking bass lines and things like that. And yeah, so got into playing breaks then, and just kind of over time, acquired different taste. I was always into house. I played breaks and house when I played breaks way back in the day too.
About what period of time, about what year-ish are you talking that you were getting into DJing?
Like 2005, 2004.
Okay, we have a very similar story and timeline, you and I.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you most of your breaks influence is more U.S. domestic, Florida breaks and stuff like that, rather than like the UK stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I like the UK style too, but it was mainly like initially that's what it was. Yeah. So it was like a lot of Florida breaks, like electro breaks, Jekyll and Hyde, stuff like that. So
I want to go back to what you were saying about first getting into the scene in the mid 2000s, getting into it from the perspective of music and already being into it from that side, but not really understanding the local scene and all that. I can definitely relate to that. That I discovered the music way before I discovered there was a reason for the music. You know what I mean? It was like I found it on like mp3.com or Napster or somewhere like that, and was like, what is trance? What is house music? This is awesome stuff. Or I was calling it all techno, but you know what I mean? And it was kind of that gateway. And so yeah, that's kind of interesting that I've never really heard somebody else on the show, I don't think, say that before, that they were into the music and then were like, oh, there's a scene. Like, I guess I should figure that out. Was it something that you kind of came in pretty early and wanted to DJ? So did you start reaching out to promoters and stuff like that, or did you just start kind of going to shows and getting familiar with what it was first?
Trip and Jason were doing a lot of shows back in the day, and a lot of people at the Milk Bar in Cincinnati, this crazy little underground spot. I would just go to shows and like Hawkeye the DJ, and just like I was the dude like standing up there like, hey, what are you doing? Like what's going on up there? Why are you doing what you're doing? And trying to like reverse engineer what is going on. So the funny part was like in the earlier stages of like discovering the music before discovering the scene, I actually there was a guy at the old like Circuit City around my house. It was in the stereo department, and I was like in high school, like looking at like hi-fi equipment or whatever, or car stereos or whatever it was. And the guy at Circuit City hipped me to Ministry of Sound. And
wow.
I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I didn't realize this existed, this whole UK sound. And it was like that really like, it was Artful Dodger. It was like just funky garage and two-step. that I like fell in love with it at the time. And I think that was in like 2000 or 2002, something like that.
When did you move into promoting shows in Cincinnati? Was that with Freshlist? Was that kind of your first foray into that, or did you have some precursors?
Yeah, I never really like put my name behind an event series or anything like that. I would always frequent tons of people's events, always very active in the scene, but never really in a way of like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna throw this show. I would help people out with stuff all the time, like just kind of behind the scenes, because I like technology. You know, I like setting up speakers, and I like people having a good time. So always helped out with like a ton of the house parties and stuff around here, things like that, but never really like fully put myself into it before Freshlist.
I mean, you're definitely a hardware junkie. So what do you got in the room there, and what do you use it for?
Oh God, this is like an endless can of worms. So those two things, new speaker system, Void acoustics, picked those up recently with the intention of, you know, doing sound rentals and all that kind of fun stuff. Thanks, Corona, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So that got shot down, but hey, now I have them in my house. So it's like, I have some beautiful speakers to listen to. And they are amazing. But, you know, I have like a lot of the standard Pioneer gear. So CDJ 2000, Nexus 2s, and the Nexus 2 900 mixer. Got a lot of like I think on the last show I mentioned the Pioneer effects unit and the SP16 machine. I really dig machine for production. I just have a lot of fun on like pad based systems like that.
Which machine model is it?
And I think you have so I have the Jam and I have the Studio.
Oh, cool. How do you like the Jam? I've always thought that was interesting. I kind of wanted one, but I never knew if I actually needed it and if it would be a toy or not. You know what I mean?
Well, here it is, the Jam.
Sweet.
No, I honestly, I really like it. I think it's an auxiliary controller type of thing. I mean, it's nice to have like a different view right next to the Machine Studio. It's cool. And the Machine Studio is actually Firecats. I'm just, you know, commandeering it for the time being.
So do you incorporate that stuff into your DJ sets, or is this strictly production stuff like studio time?
It's pretty much production only. I've been working with John Blaze a little bit. We were slated to do a show with RJD2. And we were going to try to do kind of like a live turntablism and like live production sort of thing. So we got like some beats together on Machine, and we were going to just play like kind of just like ad lib and like drop parts in and out to create the track, but have kind of like a somewhat of a predestined idea and then play on top of it sort of thing, and then scratch on top of it and all that good stuff. Nice.
So is that where I see you have like an outboard mixer of some kind there with a bunch of channels? Is that where something like that would come in?
Actually that is for that's an Allen Heath Q16. It's like a 16 channel mixer, but really I use that for Freshlist. So I've been getting more into like live sound type stuff, but actually what we were going to do for the RJD2 setup is we were going to have, you know, his Tractor Z2 and then my 900 Nexus 2, and that had enough IO to keep us happy.
I want to talk a little bit about Cincinnati because I often talk on this show from the perspective of Dayton, and it's uniquely positioned like geographically, right, where it almost, I don't know if the word is depends, but for lack of a better term, depends on the strength of scene in Cincinnati, Columbus, and other kind of surrounding areas, just because it's like smack in the middle of a bunch of them. I know a lot of smaller cities probably feel that way. I wonder what What's it like in Cincinnati? Like, do you feel like it's pretty much its own ecosystem? Do I only feel that way because I'm in Dayton and Cincinnati's bigger than us, or do you feel like Cincinnati kind of depends on the synergy of Dayton or Louisville or wherever?
I mean, if I had to say, like, if my feeling right now is that it's more of its own ecosystem, but my feeling, if you would have asked me this same question like 5-6 years ago, I'd be like, well, very dependent upon everyone else. So, I mean, it ebbs and flows, you know, but
it's always ebbed and flowed. At least as long as I can remember, you know, I've been in raving in this area since 1997, 98, something like that. And even once I started DJing in 99, like, I mean, I can remember it was nothing to, you know, start in Cincinnati and then go to Columbus, stop in Dayton, head out to Indy. Like there was this like grander umbrella that was like our Midwestern kind of tri-state area of a scene. But the crazy part is then as those things kind of got bigger, and then, you know, 2003, 2004, everything started taking a dive, and then everything was just dead till like 2008, 2009, and then dubstep started coming up. And then we did see some of that synergy, or those like, you know, those relationships starting to kind of fire back up, and crews were kind of starting to work together, and DJs were trading back and forth. And so yeah, exact same thing that I saw, that I would have said the same thing, you know, 5 to 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, Dayton, even parts of Columbus, or, you know, some relationships that we have with Columbus, it was all a synergy. You know, everybody was kind of codependent, and, you know, rising tides lifts all boats type of thing. But I'd say definitely in the last 3 to 5 years, you've seen everybody kind of taking a step back. And especially I've heard, I mean, I haven't played in Cincinnati that much, but I have heard that that Cincinnati especially has become more of its own silo, you know, whereas you might get people coming from other places into Cincinnati, but not so much Cincinnati coming back out. You know, I mean, there's always your old school heads that, you know, will show up to Dayton parties or Louisville parties and things like that. But especially the newer kids that are coming in, that they're pretty much staying in Cincinnati, from what I understand, or at least from what I've been told. Is that true?
I mean, I would say so. That I think more than anything, just like the Cincinnati scene has picked up to a point where like it can self-sustain, and there's not that there's like no reason to go elsewhere, because there's certainly people that do like travel around still. So I mean, I wouldn't say that concept is like completely gone, but and this might just be like my take on it, but there's a lot of new like jobs in the city, a lot of transplants, a lot of people from other places that like are used to having a nightlife. So there's, by the demand for more nightlife is being created. Whether that's whether that's like our electronic DJ scene, or little like boutique-y bars or whatever, bougie shit popping up everywhere. But I mean, it's good for the local economy, and people like, you know, people like support it and actually go out. So there's like just a lot of new like young professional people, or whoever, people going to school, looking for a job, whatever. So
do you find that, because one of the biggest problems that Jason and I always had was trying to find places that were kind of welcoming. Now, of course, that ebbed and flowed as well, you know, with the reputation of the rave scene and stuff like that. But COVID-19 and all the lockdown stuff aside, but are you finding for Freshlist, because you're not always doing it in the same place, are you? Like you've moved around a bit?
Well, like we've moved around. So we've had like really like 3 homes. We've had Chameleon, which we were at, which you and I played that set there. Such a good time.
Which I still get tons of like people tell me how much they love that set still to this day. Where can I get a copy of that? It's on SoundCloud, bro.
Keep listening.
That set was a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. So that was like first home base. Then we went to Top Cats, and now we were at Odd Fellows last. So Mike Donovan came down to play the last one. Actually, the last one before we had to shut down. And dude, it was so crazy. Like at that show, it was right before all the COVID shit started, and I got the flu. Will got the flu. Blaze got the flu. Like mass people got the fucking flu. I was like, dude, we should have just called it Flu List. Like it was terrible. It was crazy though. Like for real, it was like, but it was like everybody in this little basement at Oddfellows, and like, it's got like a blacklight room in the basement, and you know I'm not like the biggest fan of like blacklight everything whatever, but it's got such a good vibe. So like four C18s in there and some quality sound, and the tables, like the CDJs are like shaking off the table, you know.
Yeah.
It was so good. So good. But I love that place. And Top Cats was always good to us. Chameleon was always good to us. It was just kind of like at some point you're just kind of like ready to change it up a little bit for the guests and just kind of create a new experience. So, but yeah, everybody's played nice though. That's the real deal, is that like when you go into a venue and you're like, hey, I want to take all your shit and move it where it's not right now. We're going to put everything somewhere else. Are you cool with that? Most people are like, no, you suck. Don't know. But luckily, you know, like we have a good following and bring people into the bar that are looking to have a good time and not start shit and just vibe out. And everybody's been, you know, it's been really good. Every bar we've worked with has been great.
I wonder if, I think I want to ask Tony and Trip specifically, like, what about the days in locally that kind of predate me and Mark's involvement in the scene? So I'm talking about, since you guys were kind of playing and promoting shows during the rave era, the impression that I have as somebody who arrived to the party late, so to speak, is that it was very, very codependent and very integrated with each other as far as the cities. But my impression of that comes from talking to people who were involved, who might have rose-tinted glasses, and also looking at old flyers that have people from all over the region, you know, 50 names from everywhere. So that's the impression that I get. Is that true, or is that just the impression that I'm getting from looking at that stuff?
That was always my impression of it, was that it was, I don't know if codependent was the right word, but we were definitely all very intermingled. Like I can remember there were like meetings in basements in Cincinnati, and you know, people would get together and you know, from all different cities and different crews and all of that stuff, and actually, like, you know, make the effort to coordinate things with each other and say, okay, these are the dates we're looking at, these are the headliners we're looking at, and stuff like that, and trading DJs off, and you know, from one crew to another, and passing out flyers from everybody else's parties and stuff.
There was a lot more that went into a rave than there is a club show as well. You know?
That's true.
When you're talking about getting a warehouse that would hold 1,000, 2,000 people, because that's how many people typically would show up every weekend to every show. And it wasn't that easy, and you had to hide it from everybody. You had to be super low key about it, except, you know, there was so much more that went into it, as to where everybody's got 4 or 5 clubs in their city, you know. But now that it's going to clubs, it's obviously you can be a little more dependent on your own city, I guess, you know.
Right. Yeah. I would say that's a really great point, because I mean, if you've got all of these self-sustaining venues that already have,
I call them,
you know,
plug and plays.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, they've already got insurance, they've already got a bar, they've literally got everything you need. Mm-hmm. You know, the biggest thing you have to iron out at that point is who gets the door and what cut of the bar do you get, if anything. And to Mark's point, it all just kind of depends on, how open they are to an outsider coming in and how desperate they are for heads to drink,
I mean, if you break down a festival on any scale, it's just a glorified rave. Excuse me while my voice cracks, but you know what I mean? It's you have your venue, you have your lighting, you have your audio, you have to set up the room, you have to set up the way you want your entry and your exits and all that. It's a blank canvas that you have to go in and create. So it's kind of like a festival. A rave is, as to where, again, a club, I don't want to say it's plug and play, like not what Mark does. They decorate the room, they do all kinds of different stuff, but you still have your liquor, you have all that stuff. So all you really have to do is handle the entertainment side.
So I got a question for you guys then. So we're talking about, the plug and play, or, you have a pre-established facility where you don't have to worry about the cop showing up and shutting you down. What do you guys feel like, what was one of the causes to stop some of that regional reach, I guess, and what I mean by that is like how you get back in the day, you would have like regional acts that would travel like some amount of distance versus 45 minutes. Like you'd have DJs and artists come in from other states. Like, do you know, in your opinion, like what is it that caused that to kind of stop?
6 words: Rave Act, National Guard, Police State. I'm not even kidding. Like I can recall at least half a dozen rave parties that I was either at or that friends of mine were playing at or attending, where literally people in fatigues are coming in and, either arresting or detaining or busting up parties, in fatigues. These are people coming in and shutting down these parties, people who are literally blinking with glitter and fairy wings and pacifiers in their mouths, but yet they're getting weapons pulled on them. You know what I mean? So, once all of that stuff started getting shut down, then, the next obvious thing you would think would be that it went further underground, but all it really did is it really killed the scene. So whatever was left did go to whatever clubs were friendly to that sort of sound and that scene. But I can remember for at least a good 4 or 5 years, if you got 50 people to show up to something, you were doing good.
Yeah, they killed just like Donnie said, back when he was talking about Carl Cox for $10, that was in Columbus. When I came back to Ohio in 2005, I went to the Red Zone to see Carl Cox, and I literally stood right next to him DJing on the floor because I don't even think there was 200 people there. The scene had really took a big crash when it moved into the clubs, and a lot of people have, they have clubs in their own cities that they can just go to their club, and everything kind of became top 40.
So instead of traveling, it's just easier just to stay close to home and not have to worry about all the ism that comes with travel.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, when it comes to Freshlist, how do you go about choosing a lineup for a show? Like, what's your criteria? What do you care about?
Yeah, so initially it was about like exposing new artists and new music and just people who I think are passionate about what they do and put a lot of energy into their performance. And there's a certain threshold of like caring. Some people, I feel like when they play or when they're doing stuff, maybe it's like a popularity contest or maybe it's a whatever, I'm going for like the true head, for the lack of a better word, I guess. People who just really care about the craft, care about the experience they're creating for people. And then, show by show, it's different, kind of like select kind of a vibe for the night and then kind of narrow down out of the pot of who fits that vibe the best. And then creating a flow for the night so that, you don't have like banging craziness at 9 o'clock. It's kind of like a ramp up and then either just like straight up and out or like a ramp up and a gentle down slope at the end. So I mean, it really just kind of depends on what the vibe of the night is. We don't do like necessarily like themes, like we're not gonna, we don't, cater the music to the theme necessarily like that, but
so you don't do pajama jammy jams?
We don't do pajama jammy jams. Sorry, Jason. Damn. No, we I mean, we do like fun shit, but it's not necessarily like thematic. We do like our Halloween shows always obviously like a big costume party, and it's a blast. We always try to create like some props and stuff for that.
That's one thing I wanted to ask about. Like you were telling me on the phone the other day, like, oh yeah, I work with Will and he does this, and I work with so and so and so and so, and the list started getting to like 15 people or something, and I was like, holy shit! I didn't realize so many people are involved. I mean, what are all these people doing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people involved. I think it's like 9 or 10 of us at this point, but we all are either DJing, helping set up, helping tear down. Props. A lot of props are like LED based, so I've got like these LED strips and controllers and stuff like that. I'm an electronics nerd, so that just kind of comes with the territory. But yeah, I mean, Will takes care of our website and a lot of that end of stuff. He also obviously DJs. Basically, like everybody is a DJ in some capacity, even Logan. So except Davey, our light guy, he does lighting for us, and then Robbie does visuals, and we have guests like Ben from Bunk News comes in and does visuals, and Davey will do visuals too sometimes.
So you've kind of built a crew that everybody can kind of handle their own little island there, so that the next time you get together, you've got all those pieces into place, and you just keep building on that.
Yeah, and I mean, we bring in, everybody's not available every show kind of thing. So, we'll bring in other people to do lighting or other people to do visuals, or, we always keep, like, I always do the sound. So, basically I'm running sound and doing that audio setup, with Blaze, the freaking muscle. So lugging speakers up and down stairs sucks sometimes. Especially when it's after flu list and you're bringing up the system, like, God damn it.
So go ahead.
Sorry. But yeah, so I mean, we just have everybody helps out, and that's the main thing. So like, I'll be running the door, for example, a lot of nights, or Will be running the door, or my wife Brittany will be running the door. It's like nobody is above doing any particular task.
All right, so you got to go way back when right, exactly. when I think when you and I first met, or at least when I very first started seeing you DJing, you had this amazing helmet.
Oh yeah.
Like you got, I don't know if you've got like a picture of it that you could like do a screen share or something, but like, or if you still have like one of them hanging out back there, like, there's not a whole lot of people that do that, at least not locally or regionally even. Some questions around that. There it is. Look at that. It's amazing.
Awesome. There it is, man. Dude,
that looks like Dead Mouse meets like African Zulu warrior.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
with some Mystery Science Theater 3000 mixed in.
Yeah, dude, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, it was great. And then like, you're out there and he's just slamming down these awesome breaks and stuff. And like, I mean, it was a good time. So a couple questions behind that. One, what was the inspiration behind it? Two, what was it like actually DJing in that helmet? And three, why'd you give it up?
All right. Well, I got answers to every single one of those. So I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see all of your beautiful faces again. Okay. First question. Say it again.
Where'd the inspiration come from?
Inspiration, where did it come from? It came from my logo. So I took my DJ logo and made it into a head. It was a robot head already. I'm like, well, I'm gonna wear this thing. It's gonna be great. So there was like, I was on this DJ forum a long time ago called DJ Forums, and there was a guy on there. They had like a thread going on like, oh hey, there's an art section essentially, and a lot of people did like logos work for people, and I was just like, hey, could somebody make me a logo? Just off the top, let me see what you got. If you guys are willing to do it, it was like the most, like logos are expensive. Like a good logo is fucking expensive, and I'm like, I'm this like little asshole kid, like, hey, could somebody make me a logo for free? And but somebody did, and they came back with like a couple options, like multiple people did, and I was just like, okay, cool, I really like this one. So it was the logo in physical form on my head.
That's amazing. So free logo, bit flip, so it has like that like techie flair to it, and robotic whatever, and then it actually a pretty big square. I mean that lends itself to a pretty easy helmet there. So what was it actually like DJing in that thing?
Oh, it actually wasn't that bad, except for like, because it was wide, right? Like I could reach my hands up underneath it and like take my headphones on and off, and I mean I could mess with it like this, and but it wasn't impossible. It was relatively easy, but it's obviously a bit limiting.
Was it N95 certified?
No, it was not. It was not. It had a car grill in the mouth there, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it was like the most jank ass thing ever, though. Like it looks relatively cool, but it was like, I'm trying to remember. It was like foam core, electrical tape, foam dowel rods, and then I took a construction helmet, like a hard hat, and I cut the top off of it. So it was just like this band, like this plastic band. And then I'm trying to remember, like I fixed something into the sides that like stuck up from that plastic band and like the suspension in the helmet that went up to the top of the box. So it kind of like, pushed it up off the top of my head.
All right, now I got to wedge another question in. How much weight are we talking?
Not much. No, it was very light. It was all foam. I mean, it was like foam and 3 dowel rods. So
okay, so I got question 2.C. How much weed went into that? He wants to know the weight. I want to know how much weed went into that engineering.
It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'll put it at a lot. It was like, okay. I was sitting in my house crafting this thing like out of fucking tape hot glue and a construction helmet. I mean,
yes.
Only somebody who's had to make a smoking device out of toilet paper roll will understand.
There are probably a lot of brownies consumed in the construction of said helmet.
It was hilarious.
Nice.
So
why'd you give it up?
Okay, so I gave it up not because of my own choice. I gave it up because it broke, and it was funny. I was playing a show on Fountain Square in Cincinnati for like the summer concert series. It had seen better days already, so it was like on its way out. And I played with it there, and I got like halfway through the show, and I'm like, okay, cool. I get like the gimmick is over. I'm gonna take it off and set it down, whatever. And then the MC for the show came up and grabbed it and put it on his head. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this thing is like on its last leg. It is about to break. He's like jumping all around, going crazy. And it's like bounced on his head. And I can see it like a car with busted ass suspension. It just starts kind of like floating up and down instead of like really following his head. And I'm like, God damn it, this motherfucker just broke my helmet.
Damn it,
And,
Firecat.
Yeah. It was not Firecat.
You said
But-
MC, I just assumed.
I know. No, I know. He was there though. He was there for sure. You know what? I might have a picture of that too, on Fountain Square with the dude wearing the helmet.
So
I mean,
let me get this straight, because you said you stopped using it because it broke. So does that mean that you didn't stop using it? It's just been out of order for however many years and you're just waiting to fix it? Like, do you prefer to be using it and it's just broken?
Oh no, I totally threw it away.
Oh, okay. You didn't want a Robot 2.0 or something?
No, I'll make a sweet new helmet sometime.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it was really fun. I mean, it actually came out of one of the boat parties because I think I made it for the boat party.
I want backlighting on the next one.
What's that?
Backlighting on the next one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, like in today's like rave helmet world, it pales in comparison to everything. But at the time, it was pretty fucking cool.
Well, I mean, I remember, like, you know, Daft Punk was obviously the big thing, back then. But there was somebody more I don't know if they were regional or if he was more like, I don't remember if he was more national or not. But if I remember right, he played at that Afterlife show.
Oh yeah, Paladin 5.1.
Paladin. Yes.
Yeah.
That thing was insane. Like,
Dude, yeah.
the closest thing I've seen since then was what's that the dubstep thing that KJ Saka and Excision and oh man, Destroyed. Like, those suits are absolutely insane. Like, those things are like thermal cooled and like, MIDI buttons all over them and like lasers and but like this dude, he looked like a cross between a Predator and a Halo character, like Master Chief or something. Like, but like he had like a strobe light, and I mean he had like a little like thing on his arm. Like, he had all kinds of stuff. It was pretty slick. It was he even had cameras hooked up to his, and then like those were like wired up to the visuals that were behind him and stuff. It was a pretty insane get up.
I can tell you that seeing that guy, my mind was like
Right.
completely blown. But yeah, I mean, dude, he had, I want to say he had a laser on his hand that he would like shine out over the crowd like this. And then he had like a fucking spotlight or something that he would do the same thing with. It was like a green spotlight.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, especially with today's technology, I mean, a 3D printer, you could probably make something pretty elaborate and still lightweight.
Trip, I think there might be a business opportunity for us here now with modern technology for us to take some like Raspberry Pis or Arduinos or something like that and make some crazy ass helmet shit go down.
Right. Right.
Yep, you can get some of those vape batteries or whatever that this reloop spin takes. Ooh.
Yeah, tell me about that thing. So the reloop spin, this is one of these like standalone turntables that plays 45s and has a built-in, I don't know if it's got a crossfader or a cross switch or whatever they call it. Kind of similar to the new Mark PT-01. What made you get that? Obviously, you're into turntablism, but this is pretty cool, like hyper portable thing going on in DJing right now. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. So, like, I remember, man, this was like, I think back in 2011, my first time in NAMM, the music trade show. So went there, had an awesome time. I was working with Elliot Marks of Audio Innovate at the time, and that's the Innofader fader. So if you're a scratch DJ, you've probably heard of it, and maybe you used it, maybe you haven't, but they're the shit. They're totally awesome. But the reason I got the spin was actually John Blaze came over my house with it, and I played with it, and I was like, I'm buying one of these. This is incredible. But the reason I got it really over the Newmark was it's kind of like the Newmark was like the predecessor in the portable world and took a little bit more doing to get set up. So there's like different platters that you could buy for it to account for some, flimsiness and whatever. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Reloop Spin is actually just a rebranded Vestax Handy Tracks.
Okay.
And the Handy Tracks was like just a portable turntable, not like necessarily geared towards portablism, like portable turntablism, but like, hey, I'm going to go record shopping, or I'm going to go to like a flea market or whatever, and I'm going to have this portable device that I can like check out the quality of a record before I buy it. And I never really saw anybody like scratching on a Handy Tracks because it wasn't what you did. I don't know. And now there's like a whole culture of dudes scratching on mountaintops and whatever. But I mean, it is totally awesome though. I mean, it's
That's so funny that you said that, but I can't say why until after the show.
Nice. So this innovator up here. So it takes an innovator. It's all good.
So it's literally like it has a throw to it.
Yeah, I'll try to get it up in the camera. There's actually two faders on it. I have an innovator on it, and I have the original Reloop fader down here. This is like a mix fader, and this is like a cut crossfader. So how do you feel about that thing overall? Because I've dealt with a lot of Reloop gear in the past, but it's mostly controllers. So I've always been really impressed with like their build quality and stuff for where they're at in the the price bracket. But I've never dealt a whole lot with like their turntables and players and stuff. How's it quality wise? Yeah, it's great. I would say, I mean, so price point is like $250 out of the box. It doesn't come with batteries, which kind of sucks. And you basically have to have them, otherwise it's useless. But the batteries are like under $20. It does come with like one record that you can, it's somewhat useful. It's okay. But there's tons of like 7-inch scratch records that are really dope. Turntable Training Wax has a bunch of them. I can't remember what this one is on here that I have right now.
Yep.
But
that's what I've got. Actually, Tony's got one of my records over there now. They come from what's the guy's name that?
Effect?
No,
Richie
not
Rufftone?
Richie Rufftone. Yeah.
And it's just fun. I mean, there's certain things that you buy because they're like high quality, really nice, top end shit, and there's other things that you buy that are just fun. You know? Like some things you just get a lot of joy out of, and this is one of those things that you have a really good time playing with it.
It seems like one of those pieces of gear that's like this is my beater, right? Like this is the thing that I take places, and I don't care if it gets marred up, and I don't care because I'm gonna wear it out, and then I'm gonna get a new one.
Yeah. It's not like. Yeah, I look at this thing differently because it's designed to be portable. It's designed to just take it and fuck around wherever you are.
Does it have audio does it have audio outputs at all?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Actually,
so you could use it to rip 45s or something like that if you wanted to.
You can actually record them directly to a USB drive.
Nice. Nice.
So it's got Bluetooth pairing, so you can run your phone into it wirelessly. It's got like a aux jack on, where's my camera on this side? Probably can't see it, but aux jack there. And then the IO on the other side, I think it's a RCA headphone outs and a USB port for just recording, your little scratch session directly to a drive. Which, why the fuck doesn't every mixer have that? Just saying.
It's getting there.
I know. When I saw on the 900 Nexus 2, when I saw they put a USB A port on it, I was like, oh, finally, I can put a drive in and I can record right to it.
How is it to mix or to scratch on a portable turntable like that, considering the placement of the crossfader? I know you've got two positions on there, so you've got some options, but like, I don't know what your level of turntablism is, but somebody like me who's not good, that would be enough to really mess me up until I got used to it. I mean, is there a learning curve, or does it? I'm trying to figure out how it feels in the hands, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you get used to. I mean, the crossfader on your mixer, it's really similar because you can just kind of position it in your lap at that same angle. So like the tone arm is super sticky on it too, so you can actually like I could hold it like sideways and scratch. And
oh wow!
And the tone arm doesn't slip at all. It is impressively good. I will say that.
Do you think that like if you spend a lot of time practicing on something like that where you're using a 7-inch platter and a small crossfader that's placed differently and you're holding the whole unit, like does that practice translate when you go to a full setup, or is it like you have to learn it twice?
Yeah, it's muscle memory more than anything. It translates from the 7-inch disc to a 12-inch disc to a 10-inch. I mean,
I have issues just going from a regular record to a Serato record. It's weird. Just the digital timing is just that little split second off, and it throws me off. Even on a CDJ platter,
yeah,
without it moving and being the same size as a 12-inch, my hand placement is just, it messes me up. It'd probably take me a good minute to get used to something like that.
I feel like the CDJ platter has always left something to be desired with scratching. And then I see people like Crafty Cuts play, and I'm like, really?
Right.
Like, how do you do that? Like, it's so good. But yeah, I mean, to me, I'm still like fundamentally, in my mind, I'm still like fundamentally learning how to scratch, because I don't know. I was like cart before the horse. I just started doing all kinds of different weird stuff instead of like perfecting the basics and then building upon that skill set. And if I could go back and do it over again, I would learn how to be the cleanest I could ever baby, and then learn how to chirp the cleanest I could ever chirp, and then learn, in succession, these different skills, and then learn how to chain them all together.
I can teach you in 5 minutes.
I was going to say my plan was to just watch Tony and have him teach me all that, but I'm still stuck on the baby scratch part. So
I promise in 5 minutes. I taught Chris Morgan in literally like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I've
been watching Tony.
We'll have to get together and do some sessions.
Yeah.
Do what?
I would like in on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead and count the dingo in as well.
The dingo is in.
I can't wait for the day, man. Like I've never wanted more to just like have both like bar tops all cleared off and just filled with everybody's gear and all run into one main mixer and just, hey, everybody just do whatever you want. Just stay here all day and play music. That sounds so appealing to me right now.
Dude, I mean, I'll say this, like there's a couple different like looper sites. It's just like a beat that loops over and over again, and you can pick whatever beat you want. But a bunch of people put stuff out in looper form, but you just throw on a looper, and you'll be amazed between two people how long you can listen to the same 8 bars and just scratch over it and just trade off and like play back and forth and not get bored. And then everybody else is like, why are you just like scratching on fresh over this same tired ass loop?
That's how you learn, man. You feed off of each other.
Exactly. And you get the phrasing down, and you understand like, hey, okay, now it's my time to pass off, Tony. And then Tony picks up right where I left off, and Trip picks up next, and
I think I'm coming about to the end of my questions here, but I did want to give you an opportunity to sort of maybe. Hey, Tony's got the.
I had it on.
Nice.
Nice, man. I really do like your guys' logo too. I love the way it pops. That green and everything is awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I wonder.
I played the first one, didn't I?
It
was either the first or the second.
It was very close to the first one. I think EJ played the first one, actually. Smirk played the first one. I think you played number 2.
Number 2, yeah.
Dude, it was such a... Oh, man. Sorry, memories flooding in.
Well, I wonder if you could tell me, and you could approach this from either as, Bitflip, the artist, the DJ, or the promoter, whatever angle you want to take it, but maybe what is your primary struggle with that stuff, and then what is your sort of superpower? Like, what are you really good at?
Well, I guess from the promoter side, I am a horrible procrastinator. So getting things on the books is like my biggest challenge.
Okay.
I would say my my superpower as Bitflip, the technical nerd, is just figuring out how anything under the sun will work. And if there is a problem, like troubleshooting, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Troubleshooting an audio system, that is my jam. It sucks when it's right before the show, but it always happens. So, or in the middle of the show, or like, hey, I didn't bring a 1/4 inch to RCA cable. How do I make my thing work? And you're like, I got you.
That's why those skills are invaluable, man. Having somebody like that around when the hammer drops or whatever is like, yeah, that can be make or break, and is a huge stress reliever for somebody throwing a big show, I'm sure.
You and I have chatted a bunch over the years about like different production techniques and gear and things like that. So, where are you at in that world? Are you producing? Are you releasing? Are you just tinkering? Where are you at with all that?
Yeah, I would love to say that I have like 50 tracks ready to go, or even one, but I don't. I've been like tinkering a lot, but I've been more focused on like the live sound stuff with these things, and kind of like the more live event part of it. But not shit happening in that world right now, so trying to focus my efforts elsewhere. But my studio is like, through all of this, I like rearranged my entire house, and my production studio became like my home office now. So it's kind of like in flux. So I got my DJ set up here, which is awesome, but I don't really have a production setup. And I don't know if it's just me, but like standing up and producing music is weird.
Yep. Same.
To me personally. So I don't have a chair that I like, and a desk and a command center anymore.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, I went through a lot to get mine, just get rearranged and get everything, in some ergonomic flow that made sense to me. And then all of this happens, and I literally haven't fired up any of this stuff for production, because I've actually been trying to take advantage of the extra time to do like, sample sorting and music tagging and all of this other crazy stuff. But similar to you, like, I mean, I've got it here, but this has also become my work desk. So like, I sit here and work for 8 hours a day, then, to like just switch it off and then switch the production, put the production hat on. It's a hard switch.
The separation is difficult for sure.
It's funny, Mark.
Same physical space.
It's funny, Mark, because the that problem that you're talking about with sitting and standing, I feel the same way about like it feels weird to sit and DJ, right? So I'm sure that this is something. I'm surprised we've never talked about this. I'm sure this is something that DJs run into all the time. Like, oh, I don't want my turntables here at my desk, but I don't want my production stuff up here on the table. And so that's why I know you haven't been able to hang out here in studio yet, but just for the YouTube audience, I'll kind of show you. Like, that's why I set it up this way, where I've got the DJ booth here up at like counter height, and then I've got a desk behind me. But then the problem that I ran into was, well, now my chair is too short or too tall. And so then I had to order new chairs. So I got these. These are actually drafting chairs, so they come up to countertop height, which is nice. And they go down almost low enough, but these armrests whack into the... So I can't tuck in under the desk. So I've almost got it licked, but not quite.
Well, I will tell you one thing real quick before anything else. This is going to be like a lifesaver. I hope. I hope it's as revolutionary for your audience as it was for me.
Okay.
Anti-fatigue mats while you're DJing.
Yep.
Dude, oh my God. It's
all
the
my
best.
And all my CrossFit events where I DJ for like in excess of 8 hours, I've been using those for about 5 years. Those are game changers.
Here's mine.
Dude,
I
it's
stole my
incredible.
wife's yoga mat, and I've been standing on these.
Oh no, you got to
Nice.
get a legit
You gotta get-
anti-fatigue mat though. Those are
What's different about
Way
it? Is it
different.
like real dense or something?
no, it's like gel. Like the one I have is like a gel one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, like when I do the CrossFit stuff, like I'm standing up for like 8 to 10 hours. So like, you know, I'll start off and, you know, I won't use it at first. And then as I start to get a little tired, I'll throw it in there. And then, you know, as the day goes even further, like I'll even take off my shoes and stand on top of it. And it's just like giving your feet a massage, like while you're up there, just dropping tracks after track after track. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna
it's
have to
game
look into that.
Dude, it's revolutionary. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, spend some good money on one, dude. Don't buy a shitty one. Yes, spend the extra money. It's worth it. Your feet will thank you.
Yeah.
I bet
think
it'd be
I
good
spent
for the
like-
back too. I have a lot of back and neck issues, so that might help kind of soften that a little bit. Send me some links.
Yeah, I will. I think it was like $40 or something.
Yeah.
But it was.
I paid about $50
yeah.
for mine, but it's well worth it.
Dude, it's incredible. And like, I don't know. I feel so dumb being like, hey guys, this anti-fatigue mat is the coolest thing about DJing that I'm going to talk about. But like for real,
Not at all,
it's
man.
so legit. It is so legit. And then
I really appreciate that suggestion, actually.
and I got one more weird thing that every DJ should buy that does events out where the tables are always too low. Buy a set of bed risers. Look them up. They're like $10. Raise the table up 6 inches so you're not wrecking your back. Any folding table, easily just throw it up on there. Boom, done.
God, where were those things 15 years ago? Jesus, 20 years ago? God.
I know.
Like all of those tables. I remember like there were certain venues where like what we would do is we would like take 3 or 4 of the tables and like have one set up and then try to stack multiple ones up. But then like you had to like, I remember one where we had to like ratchet strap like the table or the stack of tables to the table because otherwise they were sliding all over the place. It was absolutely rigged.
They've always been perfect height for me.
I've seen a hack for that. If you want to get mad ghetto and you have the right kind of table where it's got the straight legs and it's got like the little the angle arm that goes like towards the bottom of the foot peg, is you just get like I think 2-inch PVC and cut those and just stack those. Yeah, I've seen that. But luckily, like with the table I had, well, I'm tall enough, but then I bought like a piano stand, so I can adjust the height of that, and it'll raise and lower. My old when I used to use the S4, but when I got the DDJ 1000, the flight case is big enough to where it gives me about a good freaking 8 inches, I think, off the table. So that solved that problem. I don't have to carry that piano stand anymore.
Man, we should once we can get together again, we should do like a DJ life hacks show for YouTube or something.
Yeah, when Mark just saying all that stuff made me think. I just wrote it down to tell you later. Let's do a
Nice.
DJ Hacks 101.
Dude, it's so necessary. It helps out tremendously for long gigs, for the anti-fatigue mat or the bed risers. There's dumb little shit that costs almost no money that makes life like infinitely better.
Just like Tony's yoga mats for the CDJs, man. That's like a set of $10 solution to $1 million problem.
Yep.
Well, Mark, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking a little bit about your experience with Cincinnati and with Freshlist and just talking about what it is that you do as a DJ and even wrapping up with a couple of actionable, helpful items for DJs to use there at the end. That's pretty awesome. You've been a great addition to the show. We're glad to have you. We'd love to have you come play some music sometime once we can do that. Could you maybe share with the audience anything that you'd like to plug? Where can we find you on social media? Do you have any music that you want us to check out? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. So all my socials are /DJ Bitflip. So DJ BITFLIP. And we also have FreshlistCinci.com. That's our Freshlist website. You can find our merch there. You can find past shows there.
Not to be confused with the grocery delivery joint, right?
Not to be confused with the Charlotte, North Carolina-based grocery delivery farm-to-table thing. With we're not the Purple Carrot. I swear to God, we're not the Purple Carrot. That's why we're Freshlist Cinci, actually. But yeah, you can find us on Insta as well and Facebook. Not super active on Twitter, but I think I might have one just to satiate that need, whatever. And you know what? I'm just gonna double check my Freshlist on Insta. But yeah, it's Freshlist Cinci. Just saying.
And Cinci with an I or Y, just so.
Cinci with an I.
All right.
Cinci with an I. Yep.
This has been an awesome conversation, man. I can't wait to get together and do it in person. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to see all your faces.
And thank you all so much for listening to the Passionate DJ podcast, and keep on spinning.
Easy.
Later.
Late.